There's this new way that music distributors are exploiting artists. I accidentally stumbled on this today and I was horrified. Music distributors are getting artists to voluntarily give away rights in their music. This gets terrifying where this is going, and I'm like shocked. This is the new biggest music industry scam, and I'm horrified because it's perfectly legal. I kind of accidentally stumbled onto what I'm going to talk about today. This is not the same issue that I've spoken about on this channel in regards to music distributors, withholding artists' royalties without justification, locking you out of your accounts. You get your music taken down. And I have personally had experience with this for so many years. I've been lawyering for over 10 years. I run a law firm, and so this is something that I've been doing for a long time. And then only in recent years have brought it to this channel. So we've discussed music distributors like Symphonic, CD Baby, TuneCore, DistroKid, Lander, and others. And we've looked at their terms of service. That's what we have already discussed. What we're talking about today is new. The issues with the terms of service was it's unfair. It's one-sided. There's no reasonable remedy that you guys can actually get because you give up rights when you sign their terms of service. So there's this new way that music distributors are exploiting artists. And the reason why this matters, where I'll start is I'm like just doing some research, for example, on TuneCore, because I go, I don't really know the numbers for these platforms, because I go, I believe for the biggest distributors out there that they have at least hundreds of thousands, right, of artists who are distributing their music to get them on music platforms, right? And so that's a lot of royalties. And I came across this press release that TuneCore put out. Okay, so TuneCore wrote this and put it out. And this was from June of 2024. And they go, hooray, independent artists. We have received for our artists $4 billion to date. So basically just being like feather in the hat, we have enabled all of this and we're so pro artists. And then the CEO had a quote in the press release going, independent artists are at the forefront of innovation. We support them. We're so proud to provide artists with a distribution and career platform to make money. So that was the first press release I came across as I'm just trying to information gather about like, what are we really talking about here? 4 billion in royalties just for TuneCore. And then TuneCore also put out a press release just a few weeks ago. And this was February 5th, 2025. And TuneCore was basically talking about this accelerator program 3.0, and they're helping artists to break through. And they go, there were 450,000 independent artists worldwide who signed up for TuneCore's accelerated program. And I'm like, was that all just from your platform? I mean, did they come in and they weren't actually part of TuneCore previously? Are you telling me 500,000 independent artists signed up for your program, was submitting music to you for consideration? That's one music distributor. And that's only one of the big boys, right, that we just listed off. So what's the new problem? So music distributors are getting artists to voluntarily give away rights in their music. Hang with me. So this like literally is like exploitation at its finest. It's promising financial rewards to artists to allow these music distributors to have their AI train from musicians, real artists' music. So what they're doing is that they're basically saying, hey, you're using our platform. We are your distributor. We're going to give you a financial incentive. I'm going to talk about that financial incentive. But they're saying we're going to give you money without being super clear up front. And in exchange, you get to be a part of our tech development as we're developing amazing AI, and we're going to make money together as partners. That's not what is actually happening here. Artists are giving up control, they're giving up permission, and they're likely never gonna see dime one. Or if they do, might be a couple cents, might be a couple dollars at best. But that's not how these companies are positioning this to get these artists to voluntarily give their music. So I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about because I accidentally stumbled on this today and I was horrified. And you know, quite frankly, like the extreme hypocrisy of these companies and even just reading their terms of service and how they value their own intellectual property. So guys, like your music is intellectual property. It is something that you have created. It is something that is valuable and it should be treated as such, right? So let me explain how this works and I'll show you what I found today. All right, so of the music distributors that we've actually caught doing what I'm going to show you, we kind of did a deep dive with TuneCore. And we go, hey, TuneCore has this AI program and you have to opt into it. This is where they're getting you because they're not just doing it without your knowledge just yet. They're getting you to actually opt in. And they have a little incentive and they go, you're going to participate in all the monies that we're going to make. So TuneCore rolled this out and we went through the terms and we just go, look, I mean, beyond anything else, the reality of what this is and how they're going to train, they're going to build their tech, and you probably aren't going to get paid anything. And then, oh yeah, by the way, the terms of the agreement are vague, confusing, contradictory, and then we landed today on Lander, who also promises profit participation if you get involved. If you're needing legal help, feel free to reach out to Delgado Entertainment Law, which is my firm. We offer free case evaluations with our case managers. So just meaning you don't have to make any kind of commitment. We'll just see how we can help you. Feel free to call us. You can text, you can email. We look forward to hearing from you. Let me give you a little context on Lander. Lander is not just a music distributor, but it's a platform where you can do all kinds of great things, right? So you can sample, get credits, and put some samples in your music. They do a lot of things. And so about 6 months ago, as part of what we do on this channel, we review the terms of service for music distributors and other music companies so that you guys know the terms of the contracts you're signing. So 6 months ago, we reviewed the terms of service for Lander. And, at the time, we're like, there's stuff that's unclear, there's stuff that contradicts itself, and there's also stuff that's inherently unfair. And so we just put it out into the universe. Also, I reached out to Lander. I often will reach out to these companies. I'm like, look, I'm reacting to you. I'm finding this stuff. I really do want some change for my community. I'm an independent artist. So I reached out and we had a little phone call. So they actually responded in a very positive way. And they even made a commitment to update their terms of service. It was amazing. I just go, for all these companies, wow, Lander could really be the hero. And so they made all kinds of promises to me. I reported this back to you guys, go, wow, this is so great. Can't wait to see how they update their terms of service. And then, crazy enough, nothing happened. But crazy enough, on February 14th of this year, Lander left a comment on my video that I had done giving the review of their terms of service. And the comment from their official Lander channel, they're like, hey, thanks so much for the great review and being honest. We'll let you know when we get the terms of service updated. Which I was like, that's kind of weird because they did tell me that. I met with a handful of their people, their higher ups, okay? And so I go, maybe it just took them some time to do this. And here's the thing. Today, in preparation of this show, I had fully expected to go through and do a review of their updated terms of service to basically bring attention back to this issue. The issue of music distributors across the board exploiting you guys is so massive. We have not made this big enough to really get the attention that we need. And so that was my intention. So I go through and I go, but maybe Lander made these changes. And so we can show as a community, as a music business community, we can actually impact change. And so I went and I did a red line, which I'm going to show you guys, and they made changes. They made a lot of changes. And I was like, I wonder why Lander never let me know. Because I noticed that they had updated their terms on February 10th, 2025. Oh, wait. I thought I just said that they left a comment on February 14th. 4 days after they had already updated their terms, being like, hey, we'll keep you posted. They had already made the changes. Like, boy, something's really not adding up here. So let's take a peek at the revised Lander terms of service together. All right, so guys, just for context, what you're going to see here, let me just go right from the top. All the red stuff that you see are all the changes that they've made. I literally went through this line by line today. What is this, a 30-page document? And so I read all the changes. I go, I want to have context. I want to fully understand this, okay? Where I would like to start is on page 7. This is the section called Our Samples Services. Our Sample Services talks about their sample services. And they're like, hey, here are all the things that you can do if you download our audio files, our sound recording, samples, loops, all this stuff. And they go into great detail about all the stuff you can't do with their sounds because they're so proprietary. It's their intellectual property, right? So we go through it. I'm like, what was new that was added? They go, keep in mind, sample licenses do not allow you to use the samples in any way that is not listed, including but not limited to. And they go through and they list out all the ways you're not allowed to use their samples. And then this is new that they just added. They go, you cannot use any sample for the purpose of training machine learning models. from any form of artificial intelligence, so AI development, including but not limited to generation, synthesis, manipulation, audio, MIDI, or any other related content. In other words, you expressly agree that by using our services and using our samples, you cannot use our music to train AI. Why is that? And it must be because they think that it's important, it's special, and that it's valuable, right? So they added that. And here's the thing. Of all the changes they made throughout this document and all the changes they promised they were gonna make for your guys' benefit to be more fair, to be more clear, they didn't. But I am showing you the changes they did make. That was one. We want to make sure that their samples are protected. Okay, now we're going to pop on over to page 10 because they have included and expanded on an AI trade program. All right. So, their Fair Trade AI program. If you use our release service and decide to join our Fair AI Trade program, which is the Fair Trade AI program, you give us the right to use your qualifying records, right? So your music, it's going to be your music and it has to be 100% yours that they go and define that. They're like, no cover songs, nothing with samples in it. You have to give us the music that you own, 100%. That's a qualifying record to be a part of our AI training database, which we will use and allow third parties to use to train AI models and develop and offer AI products. And I went to their landing page for this, and it's a cute little landing page. And it's just like, you want to make some money, right? You want to participate and be a part of this. You can contribute your music to our training program. If you opt into the Fair Trade AI program, you grant to us, you give to us, non-exclusive, right? A transferable, meaning we can give it to someone else, sub-licensable, irrevocable right to license your music, right? The qualifying recordings, and authorize our collaborators to sub-license your stuff in the creation of new AI created music, right? So basically you go, hey, you're contributing your music. You're going to let us develop our tech based on your music. And for the new thing that is created, right, there's going to be outputs. I know you guys know this terminology, right? The output from music AI platforms is the new thing that is created. And so they go, you're giving it to us. It's irrevocable. You can't take it back, except the opting out. And the way that they describe the opting out is that they go, you basically can't opt out of this because we might give you an advance. If we give you an advance and this thing doesn't actually make any money, and I'll show you what the money is that they're promising you, okay, to be a part of this, you basically can't opt out until we actually recoup anything that we have given to you. Now, this gets terrifying where this is going. The AI models used as part of the Fair Trade AI program may generate certain sounds, sound recordings, which may include full songs, samples, one-shots, hits, loops, all the good stuff. Between you and us, any ownership of the outputs, as well as the AI models related to the products that we're developing, will remain with us. So they go on to say here that you're contributing your stuff and your profit participation, which is minuscule, and I'll show you why, will be contingent on us licensing the database that we develop. Basically, we're gonna have this little chunk of music. We're gonna go and like pitch it to other people who maybe want to buy it from us. If we get a license, right, we get some kind of money from that, you get paid from that. But if and when we have new outputs that are created from your music, you do not get anything. And they go on to clearly say this over and over. We own the new music, the new AI music that is generated from your music. You will not see anything, any revenue from that, but you might get paid if the actual AI database thing that, we develop is licensed to someone else. Okay, this is a huge deal. And I'm like shocked. We shall be entitled to exploit and authorize our AI collaborators to exploit such outputs during the term, and thereafter they can use, dispose, promote, market, sell, distribute without any further payment to you. If you opt in to the Fair Trade AI program, you will be entitled to a pro rata share of 20% of net revenues actually received related to our dataset training or datasets for training purposes, right? So that's the whole, if we license out, they're saying that it's 20% of the entire pie, which is after they recoup their costs to develop the tech, which can be hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay. You understand that? You get paid after they reimburse themselves for something they're going to own. You don't ever get to take back the right because they're like, oh, if you have recouped your advance, we'll terminate. No big deal. It is a big deal. The way AI training works is that you don't ever get it back. The AI has already trained on your music. And so your music, right? We have seen, we have heard, we have studied, your music can end up quite literally in someone else's output. And that's it. You've given up control, rights, consent, and you also on top of that are not getting paid. And for as kind of slimy as this feels to me, personally, they also know what they were doing. And it's amazing because they took out key language in their terms of service, acknowledging what a terrible idea this would be for musicians. And I'll show you where that is. So with this section, they just go on. They're like, to the fullest extent permitted by law, you waive any claim to performance, mechanical synchronization. Here's what I think they're doing. I don't know this to be the case. Here's what I think they're doing, though. I think that they're developing something to compete with you guys so they don't have to pay you. And I think a part of that is for licensing and synchronization licensing, right? Getting AI generated songs into TV and film and games. It is not just Lander. What I am saying is that I am seeing now more than one music distributor doing this. Now it's two. But anyway, so they go on specifically right here and they go to the fullest extent, right? We're not paying you for any synchronization, right? Placements, licensing fees, any of the good stuff that we get based on AI generated outputs derived from your music. Lander shall not be required to pay you any royalties, fees, or any kinds of payments from the AI training or keyword licensing. I think they're building a competitor licensing or a library to license AI music. And then it goes on, you acknowledge that any AI generated outputs created using your music is separate, it's distinct, you have no claim to royalties, performance rights, ownership of any kind. And then it goes, notwithstanding any other provision in this agreement, you shall indemnify us and hold us and our assignees and our licensees not liable. Okay. Now, I had mentioned, we're going to recap what that says. Okay. I just went through a lot. But something else that really stuck out to me is I went through this line by line looking for what did they update? They made lots of promises. I also noticed what they took out. So this was on page 4. On page 4, they took out, very key right here, your content will only, this used to be in the contract, your content will only be used, right, in regards to our AI development tools. No portion of the dataset will be sold to third parties, further safeguarding users' music and ensuring that the data is used ethically and appropriately compensated. So meaning, Lander previously acknowledged in its agreement with you that it understood that the development of the AI tools in order to be ethical and appropriate to compensate you fairly for the use of your music was essential. And then they took that out. And they not only took that out, but here's basically what I just went through. If you do this, not just for Lander, but for any of these music distributors that say, hey, opt in to allow us to train our AI on your music, and in return, we're going to give you some kind of financial consideration. Remember that they're not saying how much money, because it's basically nothing. But beyond that, you're giving, in this case, Lander permission for AI training. Lander and third parties, key words here, and third parties, their assignees, who they decide to grant this kind of access to. They can train on your songs. They can then make new songs based on your stuff, and they will never pay you for it. They can sell, they can commercially exploit the AI songs based on yours. And then, of course, they're like, well, you could get 20% of net. There's this huge pool. We're taking the other 80%. But all you guys, with probably the tens of thousands, if not much more than that, of songs that are going to end up being opted into this. Remember, you get a pro rata share. And I don't even think I said that properly. You get a pro rata share of that 20%. It's not 20%. It's 20% of the entire pool. And then prorated, meaning if there's 10,000 songs in the mix, you get one out of the 10,000. What is that? 1/10,000th. So that's where we're at with this. You give up control of your music. You don't get profit share in the AI songs created. I do want to point out one thing, because in the almost 30 pages that I went through, scouring for what they may have updated that we specifically had addressed, and we're like, let's make this more fair. You service creatives, so you should have an agreement that reflects correctly what you do, but also is fair and also this stuff. They made one update. Let me show you what that is. In regards to your guys' UPC, so you have ISRC, you have UPC, and so for the codes that come with your music to be distributed onto different platforms, we had to ask them and we'd go right here. It says that our creatives cannot transfer them to anyone else. That's not good because sometimes our creatives will go and like sell their music. And so they did make an update though. They go, hey, the codes that are provided to you, basically you can transfer them. So why does this matter? Same with TuneCore, same with Lander, same with any other music distributor that has already done this or will be doing this very soon, is that they are exploiting music creatives by getting them to voluntarily opt in and say, hey, I would love to make some more money from my music. Because reasonably, that's what every single music creator wants. It's a new opportunity to monetize something they have already created. But let me put it another way. I do these deals all the time for what we call interpolation, meaning someone comes in and they make a new version of a song based on yours. It's called an interpolation. It wasn't an exact thing. They're not sampling, right? That's what's happening here. There's a derivative. There's a new version that's being created by the AI, and you are entitled to fair compensation. And it is slimy to have a company manipulating you with the promise of financial rewards to get you to give your music for the training of AI, which is something you can never take back. So for me, on, well, where do we go from here? What I would say is I want you to leave a comment on this video, and I would like you to say, no AI training with my music. And I'd like you to tag whoever you distribute with. I was really shocked for what I read today in these revised terms of service. All I can say is that this is quickly escalating. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.